Ahoy my friends, Ryder here, and welcome back to another Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis video. Today I'm going to be doing a to pull or not to pull on the new Limit Break draw banner for Cloud and Glenn. Let's not waste any time, let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to head over to the banner right here, and I am going to peruse through it. First I'm going to check out, look at the costume, see what I think of the aesthetics. Then we're going to look at the actual abilities of the costume, the abilities of the weapons, and then maybe compare it to what is in the current meta. And at the end of the video, I'm going to let you know what I think, whether you should pull or not. And then I'm going to also suggest for different kinds of players whether you should pull or not. Alright, that being said, let's get into it. Alright, so first and foremost, let's go in here. Let's check out these costumes. I'm not gonna lie, on a scale of badass costumes, this is definitely up there. Cloud's costume looks super sick. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the sword looks incredible. A new design. It's very unique. Like if you look here in the kind of pommel right here, I love how it's kind of, it actually goes all the way through. It's got this little diamond in there. It has the materia in the middle part of the blade. I love the little golden emblem designs right here with the dark middle and the light kind of metallic edge. It all in all just looks absolutely fantastic. I like the white on black. And I wasn't sure how I felt about the kind of neon green that we have going on inside it, but now that I think about it, it kind of reminds me of the live stream, and so it's kind of growing on me more. I kind of like the aesthetic of the white on black on green here. It looks like you can actually see, I don't know if these are lights or materia slots on his armor, but they do look pretty sick. If we come up here up close, you can actually get a good look. You can see all the movement on his clothing. Like, the graphics are just absolutely phenomenal. You cannot take away points on them for that. It looks really cool. All right, let's go check out Glenn's now that we're here. All right, Glenn's at the same time, just like Cloud's, super cool. I think it's awesome. He looks sick right here with his kind of swaggery look, with his hand on the hip and the gigantic axe just resting on his shoulder. He's got that look in his eyes like, yeah, I'm a total badass. And let's be real, he looks like it. This costume I think is not quite as cool as Cloud's, but hard to beat Cloud's costumes, I imagine. I like the kind of chains right here on the front of his garb that goes to his shoulder blade right here. It looks like they have kind of a similar setup where they have a lot of armor on the left arm, which is actually functional for battle. You know, for someone that would be using a weapon like this, their left arm, if they're right-handed, would be closer to whoever is attacking them. So all in all, I think this is pretty cool. I kind of like this kind of shawlish cloak thing in the back, and he's got the same kind of color schematic going on. So in terms of how the costumes look, they're pretty damn cool. So I'm going to give them a 9 or even a 10 out of 10 in that regard. All right, other than that, and I'll look at the actual stamp card later on. Let's go and check out the weapon and the costume. All right, so for Cloud right here, let's start on the costume. The costume is called Saber Style. The R abilities are Boost Physical Attack +5 and Frostblade Arcanum +10. For everyone that has an Arcanum costume, or if you don't, the Arcanum essentially gives you, in this case, elementally 35% extra ice ability damage on top of the ice potency that you're already stacking. The physical attack at 5 is not bad. It's going to hit you at level 2 physical attack +20 and 10% physical attack boost. So all in all, I mean, Arcanum costumes are the best costumes you can get in the game. For elemental builds, I mean, essentially Arcanum costumes are the best costumes you can get, hands down, in the game, except for maybe the buff debuff extension costumes, but those are like a different kind of Arcanum. So the costume is pretty fantastic. Now, most people in the game have Sephiroth's edged wings. If you don't have a strong ice weapon like Sephiroth's edged wings or Tifa's holiday gloves from Christmas, then this is probably going to be a great banner to go in on. But the question is, for everyone who does already have strong ice weapons, is it actually necessary to pull on something like this? Now, we know that, and in my previous video, I said that the next banner is not going to be until March 20th. I've just verified through the data mine that the next banner is going to be on March 13th, and it looks like that's going to be Sephiroth and Zack. Now, considering we have Cloud with an Ice Arcanum costume blend with a Water Arcanum costume, it seems likely to me that in 1 week we're going to be getting a Fire Arcanum costume and a Wind Arcanum costume. Now, who they're going to go to is anybody's guess, but if I had to guess, I would imagine that maybe Sephiroth is going to get Fire, since he already has Wind Mastery costume, and then Zack would get the Wind Arcanum costume. Also, I think there's a fair chance that next week when Zack and Sephiroth's costume comes out, they might be the magic attack version of these physical ones. Now, they could both, all four of them, be physical attack centered, but my guess would be they're going to balance between the two, therefore prompting people to pull even more on these different banners. All right, so let's go and look at the sword right here. Here it is at base 5-star, the Stream Saver, level 90, 243 attack, 175 magic attack, and 147 healing. The sword itself looks amazing, honestly one of the cooler ones in the game. At base 5-star, it deals 500% physical ice damage at a 4 ATB cost with a command ability called Freezing Stream. The R abilities introduce a new R ability mechanic into the game called Boost Physical Attack for all allies. This is going to give 24 points at base 5-star, which is pretty damn good. If we go in here, 24 points, you're going to be just under level 4, which will net you level 3, all allies physical attack plus 40, and plus 14% physical attack. Now, question is, if I'm pretty sure that this is a completely new physical attack stat, meaning that boost physical attack all allies is going to stack with regular physical attack. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that. If you are, please let us know in the comments below so that everyone here watching can get the right information. Okay, so I don't have this costume or this weapon, maybe yet, we'll see. But I would guess, since this is a new R ability, that this is going to add a secondary place where you can get physical attack, and it's going to be through this, meaning that this weapon is going to greatly enhance the physical attack of your team. However, it's not going to be as effective if you're running, let's say, a physical DPS, magic DPS, which in all likelihood happens pretty often, right? In a lot of these crisis dungeons, certain boss battles, right? So it kind of limits the team building in that regard, but at the same time, it is a pretty cool R ability. Does it warrant the limited status? I'm going to go ahead and say no. I don't really understand why this banner is limited. My guess is that Square Enix had their mobile gaming companies hold off on over-promoting content during Final Fantasy VII Rebirth launch in order to make more sales and not strip their customers short of cash during that point in time. And now that that's over, since we only had one Rebirth crossover event, which should have been, in all seriousness, an enormous event in this game, right? Should have been multiple banners, but it wasn't. Now it seems to me like they're trying to make up their revenue with this new limited edition banner. However, it does seem to me like it falls a bit short. I am a little disappointed in the fact that this banner is limited and doesn't come with anything more special than a singular new R ability, which is something that should be releasing on the norm, right? We've been getting new R abilities steadily throughout the game's release, and none of them have warranted a limited banner. So for me, I think Hopefully this isn't a sign of more to come, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, if we take this sword to OB6, it's going to deal 740% physical ice damage, and it's going to have a boost physical attack up to 34 points with an ice potency of 24. Now, as a sub-weapon, this weapon is not going to be anywhere near as effective for stacking on Sephiroth with edged wings. They're really trying to separate us from edged wings, and I think at this point in time in the game, if you're a day one player, you more or less have a weapon or a build for all elements in the game, right? So now I think what they're trying to do is make it so that not only do you need an ice weapon for content, but you're going to need either a physical elemental weapon or a magical elemental weapon. And that's probably the direction they're going to be taking us. I've already predicted this. I already thought this was going to happen. This is a gacha game after all. So we're just going to have to see where that goes. Now, to go back here and look at it finally in its truest form, its strongest form, OB10, which is only going to be for those true whales out there. Congratulations, you guys. This is a really, really cool sword. However, for the rest of us mortals out here, this is just a something of dreams, right? Especially because the Rebirth crossover drained most of the players of their precious hard-earned blue crystals. But let's take a look at it for old time's sake. Alright, so the OB10 Stream Saber has a physical attack rating of 583, so pretty strong. It'll deal 900% physical ice damage. It gives boost attack all allies up to 40 points, which is going to give you all allies physical attack plus 60 and plus 22% to their physical attack all across the team, which is, I'm guessing, going to stack with their regular physical attack R ability, which can also go pretty high. So it is going to be quite powerful. The ice potency is going to go up to 36, which is going to be just enough to hit level 5, which is pretty damn solid considering if you have this at OB10 with the costume, you're going to have a total of 90% ice ability damage with just this weapon and the costume equipped. That is not including any of the ice potency sub-weapons that you might have equipped in the back end. Now, they are kind of power creeping a little bit on the elemental weapon stuff right here. We know power creep is something that is going to be steadily coming into the game. We had Murasame enter the game at 750%. Then we had some banners of elemental weapons attacking for 800%. I believe, I'm not sure, but someone correct me if I'm wrong, was Yuffie's wind weapon up to 850%? I can't quite recall. I didn't pull for it, but it looks like now we're getting bumped to 900%. So they are definitely getting stronger, probably to keep up with those insanely powerful non-elemental DPS weapons. Last but not least, let's look at the support materia. We have physical ability damage 20%, physical ability damage 20%, and circle sigil boost in the third slot. I always love the sigil breaks. They are fantastic, easy to work with, and they make boss fights a lot easier. That is going to be Cloud's sword, his costume. All in all, pretty damn cool, super strong. For an ice weapon, it's going to be badass. All right, now let's go and look at Glenn's build right here. It's going to be the same thing as Cloud's Vanguard style, boost physical attack 5, Water Blade Arcanum 10 for the 35% water ability damage in the back end. So for those of you who missed the Maritime Sword in Cloud's costume, this is going to be super solid. It is the first Water Arcanum costume to come out since the very beginning of the game. All right, and here's going to be his Stream Slasher. I'm guessing this is going to be a carbon copy of Cloud's Saber, so I'm just going to quickly move through this. This is the stats at base 5-star. At OB6, same elemental damage, same R ability stats. The back end is going to be literally exactly the same. Physical ability 20, physical ability 20, and the same sigil boost, which is circle. Normally, the different elements call for different sigil breaks, but it looks like they're both going to be circle in this case. Yeah, which is going to be interesting because that might prevent other players from using things. Because normally, let's go check Maritime Sword really quick. Normally, elemental bosses always require the same sigils. Now, let's check this one. Okay, so there you go. So it is circle right here. But if we go to edged wings, I'm guessing this is X. Yeah, so edged wings is X. It is an ice weapon, so it does actually change over. So if they do have a boss fight where, you know, circle sigil is the break, but they're weak to ice, then this is not going to be as potent as it once was. Now let's go back here. Let's go back to where we were. Back to the stream slasher, the axe. Let's look at it at OB10. It's going to be the same stats. All in all, they're definitely great weapons. Now, the question is it going to be worth to pull for as a limited banner? Now, for me, my recommendation is if you're ever going to pull on a limited banner, you almost always want to have at least enough to pull through 2 stamp cards, right? Going in on a limited banner with 35k or less than, honestly, less than 50k, I think is a mistake. And the reason I say this is because limited weapons are extremely hard to overboost. They cost character specific weapon parts if you can't get them up on the banner, and I've tried to build up Zidane's sword slowly over time, and it's just so slow that it's not even worth it. So essentially, when you're pulling for a limited banner, you're pulling for OB6, or at least at the bare minimum OB4, right? Bare minimum OB4. If you're not getting there, for me, that is a waste of blue crystals. Now, if you are pulling because you love the costume, then you only need to go through the first stamp card, and I'm sure that the content in the game is not going to require you to have these weapons. There's always a way around it. That's what I love about Ever Crisis. So don't think that by any means these costumes, these weapons are an absolute necessity. Yes, they push the power creep. Yes, they're limited when they shouldn't be. However, there's always going to be a way to make something else work, you know? All right, so in terms of the stamp sheet, let's look here. And this is a pretty good sign, right? Because this is the same setup we got for Tifa's Guide Gloves, which in turn essentially guarantees you 3 copies of a weapon of your choice and another 5-star guaranteed by the end of the second stamp sheet. Although we are going for OB6, remember, you would be going OB4 at a minimum, and this is going to get you to OB2 at a minimum, and that's through 2 stamp cards. And that's, of course, bad luck. You're not getting any more pulls. However, you do have to keep in mind, both weapons are featured, so every time you pull one of the other weapons that you don't want, it's not really helping you at all now, is it? All right, so it would have been nicer to have someone accompanied on here other than Glenn. Unless you're a Glenn fan, unless you're using Glenn and Cloud, then this banner is perfect for you. For me, not so much. Glenn is literally my least used character. He's the only one of my characters not level 70, and so for me, a little bit tougher. The stamp card, however, looks great. On the 3rd page, you're going to get 2 more free copies of the weapons. So this is good. The stamp card is overall good. I'm glad they kept to this setup, or else it would just be absolutely ridiculous. I honestly think that they could have another weapon right here, like on the 10th slot, you know, to guarantee OB3. But we'll just have to see. Other than that, doesn't look like the odds are any different in this than anything else. And yeah, so to wrap up, actually, let's look at the actual weapon ability animations real quick, and they should be right here. All right, so here's Cloud's. It is pretty cool. I'm wondering if it's like it hits more than once, like because he did 2 spins. It looks like they're gonna hit more than once right there. So they do look pretty rad. I like the abilities. You know, my ego likes the idea of having a physical and magical elemental for every type, but my bank of blue crystals feels otherwise, and I'm sure that you guys do too. So this is my consensus on this banner, okay? If you are hurting for crystals because of the last Rebirth crossover event, if you don't have crystals saved up, I recommend passing on this. Now, my only reserve on that is that if you do not have any ice weapons built, right? So like not necessarily even an Arcanum costume, but like if you had like Tifa's ice gloves and you've been working on those and you got them OB3, OB4, you're probably even going to be fine with those. So you got to at some point in time, you got to fill in the elements you don't have. If you already have ice built, right, like I have Sephiroth built, I'm not really sure how necessary having a physical ice weapon is really going to be. That was why I skipped Tifa's banner at Christmas. On the opposite end, if you're a whale, you're going to be pulling this, and it's going to be a holiday season for you. You're going to love this. If you're a dolphin and you can afford to buy the new crystal packs, it could be pretty fun. I do recommend waiting to see what comes next week. Then you can choose between the two. Are you going to want something for Sephiroth and Zack, or are you going to want something for Cloud and Glenn? So my recommendation is, at the very least, wait until March 13th, see what comes then. If you are going to pull, at least have 50k to go in, and you're going to want to go through the second page all the way to at the very least, this weapon right here. Stamp page 2, weapon slot 8. Now, most people would be tempted to pull for the other costume, but I think in this game it's important to know when to cut your losses, and you should choose exactly what you're going for. These weapons being limited means it's going to be very hard to overboost them, and if you get both of these weapons at OB2 and that's it, they're not going to be that helpful in certain content, right? Just for the same reason that I never used the Zidane sword for anything other than a sub weapon. It's just not powerful enough in those early OB levels. So that is going to be my consensus for the video. It looks here that it says stamps available. So I think I'm going to do one last gift for you guys at the end of this video. I'm going to do one poll here to see exactly what that means, stamps available. Now, it's going to take me a little bit of time right here to set my wish list. Shouldn't be too much. I should be able to just check my featured and see what's on over here and then basically mimic it. But for those of you that want to see exactly what that means, stamps available, I don't know if that's a thing that's always there. Oh, I think it just means that there's stamps available for the stamp card. Either way, I'm going to do one pull here just to see how it goes, just to see if maybe I do want to pull on this. I think that I likely will. However, I'm not sure if I'll go past the first stamp card just because I already have an ice weapon, and I honestly just really like Cloud's costume. So, and I think that if you just like how something looks and you're not worried about the meta, it's perfectly okay to play the game just like that. Alright, so I'm going to go in here. Let's look at my wish list over here. Sky Splitter, Floral Rod, Prism, Black Whiskers, and Twinkling. Alright, so I'm going to go back over here. Looks like we have the Floral Rod. I'll put in Sky Splitter. For Zack, we had the Twinkling Star. Then we had the Black Whiskers. And the last weapon was... let me see here. What was it? The Prism Rod. Okay. Last weapon is the Prism Rod. Alright, so I'm going to do one pull. Hopefully we'll get some luck. Maybe we won't. Either way, we're supposed to be getting new kind of chocobos that run out there that can be different colors. So hopefully we'll see that. I hope this video was helpful for you guys today. If it was, drop a like, sub to the channel. I appreciate having you guys here. Terrible stamp luck right there. It is what it is. But let's see what we get. It was a yellow chocobo. We didn't even get to see one of the new ones. But hopefully, I get a good pull right here. So send me some luck, you guys, and we'll see how this goes. Alright, here we go. There's the Iron Giant. Maybe this is an indicator of whether or not I should be pulling on this banner. Alright, there we go. Right between the eyes. Come on, Cloud. Onegaishimasu. Onegaitashmasu. Come on, dude. Smash that shit. Oh, it hurts. It hurts so bad. Come on, Cloud. And no fever. That's just horrendous. So that's not really a sign that I think I might want to continue pulling. Although, however, at this point, I've done one. But for now, I'm going to stop, hold back, maybe wait till next week when the second banner drops, and we'll see where to go from there. That being said, thank you guys for watching today. I wish you all the best of luck on the pulls if that is what you're choosing to do. If you choose to wait, that's just as good too. Hope you all have a wonderful night. Take care and peace.